And welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be taking you through how I shape cane and get it ready for forming to make shawm and curtal reeds, and I'm doing this using a Riga shaper, which is in two parts. Now this is a little bit pricey compared to some of my other kits that I use. The handle costs about €100 and then the shaper tip is about another 100. This is one of their bassoon shapers, a number 10. I've also got a collection of other shapes in here for different reeds. So I've got a number 9, number 9, a bass curtal one, a skinny one for sopranino shawms, and this one makes my Cronin soprano reeds. Some of these are their normal bassoon shapes that they sell to everybody, others are ones that I've asked them to make specially for me. So one of the useful things that Riga will do is that you can send them a reed, or some cane, or a broken reed even, and they will draw around it and turn it into one of these metal shapers, which can be really handy if you want to be able to do something consistently over and over again. Failing that, you do have some options. You can buy shaped cane, I will sell that to you if you need it, or the other option is to try shaping cane freehand, which I might cover in another video. But for now we're going to go ahead and use this. So the shaper tip gets inserted into the handle there and screwed in, so it's nice and secure. And then what I've got here is some cane which has been soaking overnight. Now I've been told all sorts of different things about how long you should soak your cane before you make reeds, varying from 5 minutes to 5 days or beyond. I tend to go with until it sinks, so usually that's a good few hours, maybe overnight, maybe 24 hours. And I will leave it in there for a few days if I don't get around to using it, and I will change the water every day. And again, I've been told that that's a good idea by some people and that you shouldn't do it by others. It's entirely a matter of opinion. This is just the way I've settled into working. So that's been in there since yesterday. And this is, again, from Riga. It's bassoon cane, profiled, and so that means it's got the section in the middle without the bark on it. This is their 118mm long version, and I use this for the vast majority of my shawm and dulcian reeds that I make. Again, you can buy it unprofiled and you can do the profiling yourself if you want something slightly different. And we're going to start by folding this in half, so I'm just going to take my penknife. There's actually a scored line across the middle, you can see where the middle is already. I'm just going to use that to bend where the scoring is, so that's now folded in half. And we're going to fit that over the shaper, so try and get it vaguely in the middle, put it down, and then these arms here come on, and there's a bit here that slides up to hold it firmly in place. Once that's securely on there, I'm going to take a different knife. You can use the pen knife again, but I tend to use a craft knife. This is an Olympia. Stanley, I believe, are also famous for making these, with the replaceable blades. And I'm going to cut the cane a little bit at a time until I get closer and closer to that metal template. What you don't want to do is to cut into the template, so you want to keep your blade, as much as you can, running along the metal rather than into it. So just take a little bit off at a time. I'm not going to do too much at once. I've already reached the metal at the bottom here, so I'm going to turn the blade around and I'm just going to go up the other way to about the point where the second wire might go, which is the narrowest point on this shape. And if you do that in that direction, it can stop it splitting when you come the other way. So now when I come down again, I know that I'm not going to go beyond where the shape is. We're nearly there already. Just taking very small bits now. So I'm trying to keep the blade lying flat across the metal so that it's doing the same work on both sides. I've never had the knife slip while I've been doing this, but I'm always very conscious of the possibility, and I quite like the fact that this brass stopper here is a useful place to put your fingers behind that, so that if anything does suddenly go awry, your fingers aren't going to be the first thing your blade meets. I might just take that corner off the top there. That's one side done. Turn it around, do the same on the other side. The reed I'm going to make with this cane is the Hanchett or Martin's alto reed, which is a bit like a miniature bassoon reed, so we're going to need to remove some of the length in order to achieve that. The method is very similar to what you would be doing to make a modern bassoon reed in this instance. I use this number 10 shape for the alto and soprano. Hanchett Martin's reeds have been known to work in other things as well, and I also use this shape for our Renaissance alto reed, which is much smaller. It's smaller even than the Spanish soprano reeds, and only has 2 wires. It's still the same shape. Nearly. Okay, that is done. Let's take it off. Let's have a bit of a tidy up, get rid of all the bits. So there is our shaped piece of cane. You can see it's vaguely triangular on the top, and then it's got that narrowest point there where the wires will go, and then it flares out a little bit again towards the base. So let's have a look in my book and see what lengths. Like I said, we need to reduce this down a bit. So I measure, with this profiled cane, I measure from the profiling line where the bark stops, one number upwards to get the blade length and another number downwards to get the tube length. And this has a 27mm blade and a 25mm tube. So I've got a nice little metal ruler here. Obviously any ruler will do, but I quite like this one. So I'm going to measure 25 centimetres from the profile, and with my pencil I'm just going to make a mark, turn it around, do the same again. Did I say 25 centimetres? 25 millimetres, obviously, 2.5 centimetres, and then 27 for the blade is about there. I only need to mark that on one side. Alright, so let's remove these little bits that are a bit too much, and we're going to use this. This is known in bassoon speak as an easel. It is in fact, in our case, a piece of an old curtain rail. Any piece of dowel of about the right diameter will do. The idea is that that cane will sit nice and comfortably on there with a similar curvature so that it's not flattening out. If you try to push a piece of cane down on a flat surface, it's liable to crack. So you want something that's going to follow the natural shape of the cane. Put that one away. And we're going to use the penknife for this. So, holding it nice and steady, blade on the pencil mark, thumb on the top of the blade. There we go. Missed a bit. Turn it around, do the same on the other end. Blade on the pencil mark, push. Next we're going to score along the bark, using the same knife, some lines which are going to allow that tube to become the nice curve without splitting. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm almost going to use it like a pencil. Starting in the middle, I'll do a score down, and then I'll do a couple on each side. 1, 2, and I'll fit a third one in. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Same on the other end. 1 in the middle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So we've now got vaguely parallel lines running down there on both ends. It's just a question there of making a bit of a indentation in the bark. You don't have to go very far through. You don't want to actually cut through the cane, obviously, at that point. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to bevel the edges. So the way that you do this at the point where the tube begins can affect the way that it forms eventually, and whether that top wire position is a kind of a round shape or a flat one. So I quite like to start very gently next to that, and then by the time I get to where the second wire is going to be, I'll be doing my full 45-degree angle off. So that, if I line that up and turn it over, that's where the bark starts. I'm going to gently start to go in there, and then I'm going to remove a slice like that. On the other side I have to do it as a push motion, and this just allows the tube to seal nicely where it comes round and the two edges meet, rather than having two corners trying to meet together. Same on the other end. There we go. So now we have a nice piece of shaped cane ready for forming.